Yeah, my research is generally in the area of software engineering, and just to kind of give some background, software engineering is the practice and the principles around developing software. So if all your mobile applications, all your web-based applications, all your desktop applications, software engineers look at the science behind that in developing it. So what I find exciting about that is that it's just so broad. In one sense, we're talking about software that could be on your phone and things that you might buy products with, and then in another sense you might be talking about software that runs planes or actually software that drives cars. So we can do any plethora of different types of domains in software engineering. From what we've worked on, particularly what's exciting to me is things that have impact in society. So one of our latest applications in software engineering looks at trying to combine humans and software that work together. So just to give you an example, so there's, if you think back a couple years, we had a terrible disaster in Boston where there were some bombings. So along the lines, the Federal Bureau of Investigations actually released some of the information to try to find who the perpetrators were. And then all of a sudden they got just a large flow of information in, more information than they could process. So what they tried to do was they actually used their software in context with comments they got from social media to try to determine to filter the information so they can get the best information out of it. So a software engineer thinks about this in challenges of what algorithms decide when to use humans and when to use software, and we actually have developed a couple of different approaches to kind of make those decisions. Right, so software engineering, you pretty much have to have a foundation in programming and have an understanding of, I think, sequence. So the best programmers have the ability to kind of understand what, the priorities of doing one thing before the other. They have a very mathematical sense. So if you have a strong sense in mathematics, particularly in algebra, I think, and some in calculus, I think those put you in a very good position to be a programmer. The other part of it is just kind of understanding of analysis. How do you take a problem and deconstruct it into multiple points, which actually goes back to sequence. So how do you make a sequence of things in such a way and then actually capture that in software, which tends to be more constructed by humans and kind of runs based on those principles. So the students that have been in my lab have gone in a lot of different ways. So I've actually had the pleasure of working with undergrads, master's students, and PhDs. Several of my PhDs have actually gone on to research labs, like one's at Microsoft Research and one's at IBM Research. I have a couple that have become professors. Now my undergrads have gone all over the place. I have one that's at Google. I have another that actually joined the research lab for the Army. I have a number of students that are now working in the government, so they're policy fellows. I even have one student that ended up getting his master's at Stanford, and now he works at Bloomberg down in New York. So, I mean, it's financial, Department of Defense, education, you name it. From a computer science standpoint, it's just a foundation to do, I think, the sky's the limit. My advice to budding computer scientists or budding engineers or just budding college graduates or graduate students is just to pursue your passion. I guess this phrase is probably overused, but it says that if you love what you do, then you never really have a job. You never will work if you like kind of what your situation is. So I'd say just continually just pursue your passion in such a way that you are able to kind of find perfection. Whereas what's the thing that you would wake up every morning wanting to do, even if you weren't paid to do it. So I think that's the big thing. I think in computing, I think there's just so much flexibility and deciding, kind of what areas underneath computer science that make sense, and then they're broad. Like I said, software engineering allows you to work in almost any field, any domain. So that's my major advice.